All right, folks, thanks for checking out the video. I wanted to talk today about a story that has not gotten a lot of national coverage, but I feel is very important to discuss. So, the superintendent of the Alamogordo School District in New Mexico was put on administrative leave after being secretly recorded admitting that he's trying to implement critical race theory in his school district. So, there's an article here from the Pinon Post that talks a little bit about it and says that an undercover video posted via YouTube by Casey and Mike Peterson. Moore was seen at a conference telling attendees he and his administration are stealthily sneaking in critical race theory through the curriculum. Now, this would be Superintendent Kenneth Moore. It also says, Moore said in the video, I mentioned guerrilla warfare. We have to do it subtly to work. We can't even say equity. He also said, we're sneaking critical race theory in. It's guerrilla warfare. He said, we must be careful that we don't let the E word slip, equity, out of our mouths unless we get shot or something like that. In other comments made by Moore in the video, he demeaned Alamogordo residents, saying, if you've ever heard of Alamogordo, Otero County, and I'm not knocking the place, but been there 4 years, and if ever there was a time and a place for discussions about race and equity to take place, it's in this little town called Alamogordo, New Mexico, where many people would rather not have this discussion, would rather bury their heads in the sand when it comes to race. If you look up Otero County News on Google, where you'll see headlines from a couple of days ago here, you'll see how we're trying out fascism as a type of government. I am embarrassed by the county government and the things that are going on. So it goes on a little bit here. I'm gonna play a quick clip from the video that was posted showing some of the things that he was caught saying.
I mentioned guerrilla warfare. We have to do it subtly to work. We can't even say equity.
Yeah.
We're sneaking it in. It's guerrilla warfare. It's guerrilla warfare. Sun Tzu.
Before we get to the rest of
Okay, and I will post a link to that entire video if you're so interested to watch it. It's quite interesting, and you can hear him there talking about it. It's the art of war. It's Sun Tzu, and you can hear the other people at this conference, laughing because obviously they agree with him. Now, I've personally been to Alamogordo, New Mexico, more times than I can count. It's a nice little town with a lot of patriotic people. It's a conservative area in New Mexico, so if this kind of thing can happen there, it can happen pretty much anywhere. I mean, forget it. If you're living in a big or medium sized city, this is happening in your school, and this guy just happened to get caught. But they always say that they don't teach critical race theory. That they'll call it something else. They say, oh, it's not taught in schools. You're just a conspiracy theory. Well, we have hard evidence here that this is going on, and if this is going on in a very small school district in basically the middle of nowhere in New Mexico, it is going on all around the country, all around the country. So good on the school board for at least acting on this and getting him out, at least for the time being. Hopefully, the people in Alamogordo will put enough pressure on their leaders there to make sure that this guy never acts as superintendent again in that town. Maybe they can send him somewhere else. Get somebody else in there that's not going to do this. So I haven't seen a lot of coverage on this. I think it should be a much bigger story than it is. So I went ahead and looked at the test scores for instance, here, Alamogordo High School on a website called Great Schools. And you can see here that only 39% of students at Alamogordo High School are proficient in reading. Only 17% are proficient in math, and only 34% are proficient in science. Now, that's about average in the state of New Mexico, as bad as that sounds, but that's about average for the state. But obviously, they have their priorities twisted when, in some cases, a third of the students are proficient in core subjects, and in some cases, less. So whatever they're doing there now with all this stuff is not working. They need to get their priorities straight, but maybe they do have their priorities straight, and that they don't want the kids to learn. They just want the kids to be brainwashed into their leftist ideology and come out of high school indoctrinated into that way of thinking. So, um, if you have kids in school, you need to pay very close attention to what they're being taught, who the people are that are in charge of the schools, and you need to make sure that it's going to be known that if this sort of thing is going on where your kids are going to school, that it's going to be a problem, and we're not going to put up with it. So, let me know what you all think, and as always, we'll see you on the next one.